Hello, my name is John Rosebush. This will be the first video in a series of videos that I will produce about disclosure of my new energy invention. In this video, I want to discuss where we're at today and why it is so important that we move forward with my new energy invention. Today, 86% of our planet is powered by fossil fuels. 33% of the electricity is powered by fossil fuels. Now, presently, we have about 50 years of oil remaining. It's 1.5 trillion barrels. And we use about 33 billion barrels a year right now. So if you divide it, it comes out to about 50. It's a little less than 50, but they've equated 50. So now, how much oil are we going to find in the future? You know, the North Dakota shale oil find that we talked about a lot is 7.5 billion barrels. That's 3.5 months of real supply. So really, essentially what we're doing is we are completely draining our fossil fuels, at least our oil, in the Middle East. And so that's what we've been dependent on. That's where we keep using all the oil. And then we get these little discoveries. And so it is extending it, but it's not very long. Now, one thing we have to remember about oil is 30% of it in the United States is used for other products, not for energy. It's used for our plastics, asphalt, roof shingles. There's actually over 6,000 products in the United States that keep a modern society going that are used from oil. So when we use up all this oil, we not only lose our energy, we lose our ability to have a modern society. And so that's why it's so critical that we get off oil. We save it for those products. If we don't, the world is not going to look at all as it does today. Now, people need to understand this is critical, and this makes the urgency of this like really important. And you know, we're just acting like, well, you know, so what? And the oil companies are completely ignoring the situation, hiding it from the public. When's the last time you heard about how few oil shortages that we have? The media is completely either scatterbrained or been told not to, been blackballed from talking about it, or they're just into social things that they've been talking about, which really don't make any sense, because this is about mankind's survival. I've said before, I'm baffled. This is insane that the world is not knowing. You know, the governments seem to want to keep secrets now. Well, this is not a secret you should keep from the people, because believe it or not, maybe a lot of them can't do anything about it, but they sure would change their attitude about the priorities in this world. And it would definitely bring these issues to the complete top of the chain, which is where they should be. Now, we do have some natural gas, and our country has an abundance of it, but other countries don't, but they estimate there's 100 years left. But if we start using it for fuel, we're going to reduce that too. And coal is destroying our complete CO2 emissions into the upper atmosphere, regardless if you believe in climate change or not. It is seriously affecting our planet. All you have to do is go over to China and India and look at their air pollution problems. They're so severe, they all wear medical masks every single day. That's how severe this has gotten. And our news people think, oh boy, they want to talk about, you know, completely insane things. And what is United States priorities? Bombing Syria. Well, they gas their people. There is big issues here, but that's what we do. We now have decided we have the biggest military. We're just going to kill everybody. When is the last time you've heard on the news something like a project to power the planet without fossil fuels? Something where one country wants to help another country instead of bombing it or gassing your own people. What is the world coming to? You know, this is about the disclosure of this new energy invention, and I will get to that. But our world needs to wake up. You know, I've been ignored so far, been blackballed, I believe, by General Electric and a few other people, like as if that matters to me. This is bigger. This makes them look like little people. This is about mankind's survival. and Siemens, and even the Department of Energy, like as if I don't have anything. I have produced a new energy invention that can power this planet 50 times over. And they've ignored me because of their private interests, because of, I'm not sure what, but the idea that I don't have any, that I need credibility is crazy. I mean, look at where the world is at. Now let's break down our future plans for energy, because that even makes it seem a little more crazier. Right now we're producing about 20 terawatts of electricity in the world. And most of the transportation, almost all of it, is used from oil. Okay? So let's talk about it. We have wind and solar. Let's talk about wind. Wind right now is about 20% effective. So if you put in a megawatt windmill, you get about 20% of it. That's when the wind blows. And our grids can't even take advantage of it because it's not a steady stream. It's kind of like when the wind blows. Well, when does the wind blow? And so that's what we're getting from wind. And they're building windmills like crazy. General Electric's making a lot of money from it. Oh boy. You should be pretty excited, General Electric, that you're installing a bunch of crap that is not going to assist our world. Solar. Like I said in other videos, you could put solar panels on every single roof in the world and not even be able to power the buildings. Now, so it doesn't make sense. This is never going to happen. It today produces about 60 gigawatts of power. At least it's producing energy at the time of peak demand, which is helping. So that way, at least, you know, when we do have peak electricity demand, hey, we're getting a little help there. And now we have these high, these concentrated solar commercial units that we're putting in deserts, okay? And they're generating power, and you know, you might get close to a gigawatt of power out of it. Problem is, we use 20,000 gigawatts of power, and it's growing. Okay, hydro dams. We've already built the dams. About 90% of the major places where we can build dams in this country have been built. So, I mean, we can put in a bunch of smaller dams, but it's not that much power. So that doesn't make any sense. Nuclear. You know, we already have temporary storage areas in every single one of our nuclear plants. We can't get rid of the nuclear waste. So what we're going to do, we build another one. We're going to build a whole bunch more in the United States and around the world. You know, China's building a bunch of them. Doesn't make sense. Geothermal. You know, Hawaii's got it, New Zealand, there's a few other places around the world that are producing energy out of geothermal, but it's not that much, and there isn't that many places to put those, to put geothermal plants. They operate the same way a nuclear plant does. They just use the earth as the heat instead of splitting an atom. So there's not much difference between a geothermal plant once you get the heat source and a nuclear plant. Okay? Wave technology. Wave technology, we haven't been able to harness it. You know, I'm talking about the waves that, on top of the oceans. We have not been very good at harnessing it, so it's not doing us that much good. Now we have underwater current technology. And that's showing a little promise, but it's not that much. And so it does assist a little bit. Britain's doing a little bit of that over there. There's other places doing it. But it's really still not that much energy. We have ICF programs. There's multiple types. One of them uses magnetics, and they're using mirrors, etc. But they have not ever proven that they can produce more energy than what's put in, you know, to break Newton's law. But there is promise there. But it still creates an unstable environment, etc. One of the biggest issues that I have with it is their future plans, and they've spent like $15 billion on all this, and governments from around the world, is that they're hoping to have a plant built by 2032 to produce 3 gigawatts of power. Now, again, remember, we use 20,000 gigawatts of power, and it's growing. And we figure 30,000 by the year 2035. So, oh boy, we got these big things about creating 3 gigawatts of power. It's just, it doesn't even make sense to discuss it, but that's where we're putting $15 billion. Now we have, you know, some new things that talk about high altitude wind. In other words, stick some kites up there with some windmills on it, I guess, and try to send some energy down, because wind does blow differently in the upper atmosphere versus down below. I know this because I was a paratrooper, which means I jumped out of airplanes and we had to know the winds in the upper atmosphere and the lower atmosphere. So jumping on airplanes was pretty exciting, but creating energy up there really is, I'm not so sure how far we're going to get with all this. Then we have this outer space solar program. Oh boy, we want to put solar panels up in space and beam them down as heat down to panels to try to create energy. Now, that's a great theory, but it's not helping. So that's where we're at. So right now we create about 3 or 4% of our energy with alternative energy that is not nuclear, not dams, and those two. So that's where we're at. And, we're thinking that we want to keep pursuing this. And now we do have some biofuels. But, if we grow enough biofuels, we're not going to be able to feed the planet. So we do have 7 billion people on the planet now. And it's growing, and they estimate maybe 8 billion people in the next 30 years, 20 years. So how are we going to feed all these people? There's 2 ways to solve this issue. One is to kill off billions of people. And maybe that's what the governments have planned. Because everything that I see and everything they're pursuing really doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And I can't get an audience. I can't get an audience. I'm a normal human being. These videos are just normal webcam videos. I'm not some professional. I don't have a million attorneys working for me. But I can't get an audience of the world. This is completely insane. Now, not only do I think I can power this planet, which I think I can create 1,000 terawatts of power, I think I can do it for 10 cents on the dollar. And the only reason for the 10 cents is because I need to buy all the generators. And so that's the 10 cents on the dollar. Because as far as the infrastructure, I think I can create a terawatt of power in a 3 mile by 3 mile radius if I could spread it out like that, which is enough to power the United States or China or India. 3 sites. 3 sites. Now that's how powerful this is. So what are they doing? They're blackballing me. Nobody's picked this up. Oh, because I don't have credibility. Well, I'm an educated man. I'm 58 years old, college educated, worked for an oil company for 25 years, and have one heck of a track record. And haven't asked anybody for a penny. I don't think that's shamming anybody. And so I look at Department of Energy and I think the smallness of it. I look at GE, I look at Siemens. Maybe they don't like the way I talk about them, but it's a fact. And the media has not picked me up. Do you know how insane that is? It looks like you just don't even care. Just let the world go to hell. Well, somehow maybe the government's got planned to kill off a whole bunch of people because this is going to get reconciled. We are going to run out of oil. And it will not be that much longer than 50 years. Now, maybe they think, well, we'll just be dead, so it doesn't matter. It's a pretty shallow thing to throw it all onto our grandkids, which now you're because of the race to the top, you're breaking everybody. But if 10% of the people, and they're living in a bubble, they're living in a complete bubble. The greed has gotten to be so ridiculous, and China. Completely polluting their country, and India the same way, over creating some energy. Well, you know what? You do need to create energy for lights because you can't see during the daytime because of all the smog. So that's how crazy all this is becoming. Now, I'm getting ready to disclose my new energy invention to the world. But I can tell you right now, I don't want to. Because as far as I'm concerned, the shallowness of what I'm seeing, the only thing this could cause is more. If it wasn't for the young people and the future generations, I would tear this thing up and walk away. Because what I've seen is the most greedy shallowness across the planet. I haven't seen anybody want to step up and help one another. I've either seen people want to take things from one another. China, your race to the economic top. You're creating all those highways, and without my new energy invention, that would last for a generation, and then you'd have oil. It's not even a generation. You're going to have gas shortages in the next 20, 25 years. So, you've created your country on a grand scale of the United States, and you think you're doing so good. You're not doing any good at all. And I'm an average person. I can talk this way because you know what? If I die tomorrow, that's okay. I'm cool with it all. I'm almost 60. You know what? If it wasn't for my grandkids, you wouldn't be getting this. And I want all this to be on record because I am completely ashamed of the world leaders across the world and the corporation leaders. You keep thinking, just sell more of your product, How much money can I make? Well, you know what? Not even thinking about mankind. General Electric, I am totally, completely, Jeff Inmel, you should go to bed at night ashamed. And I know I'm educated just like the people that work for you. And I got nothing to gain by this except for powering this planet. And for you to step up, you should have called me 2 months ago. You should be knocking on my door, invite me to your place, and bringing credibility to this thing so we can get going in this world and create a better life for our kids and grandkids. Instead, it really, unless you don't know about this and your advisors are complete idiots, you should be stepping up to the plate big time. And China, you should be doing the same. I don't know who in the world you think you're competing against, but all you got to do is go around your country and wear your medical mask as you're trying to figure out where your country's headed. And India, you need to do the same. And all the kids rioting in Europe, United States don't even know about it. You've created so much unemployment, this race to the top. The Bain capitals of the world. What a joke. What a joke. Lay off a bunch of people over here. Go over to China and work the people for $1 an hour and call it better productivity. And you've convinced everybody to put their money into 401ks, and then you've had a bunch of complete almost criminals playing with the stock market and getting to do whatever they want. And so now you've got people's retirement games you're playing with. Well, this new energy invention will create energy for 10 cents on a dollar. And when I disclose it to the world, we'll see how you handle that financially, because that should completely shut down every damn stock market in the world. So maybe we can get back to something reasonable in this world, and we can create a life for our kids and grandkids and a better future. So this is part 1 of the series of this, and I'm going to discuss the things that I want to discuss before I disclose this, so at least it's on record, because I really don't want the wealthy people in this world to take control of this new energy invention. There's more to this than just putting out a new energy invention. You all get this for free. This is about class warfare, because you know what? I've become poor because I've worked on it so long. So this is the poor against the wealthy. This is the poor that have come up with a way to save mankind. And so now we'll see how this gets reconciled. It probably will go your way. But you know what? At least you're going to live with this video and these types of videos before you get this new energy invention. And so at least maybe, you're so corrupted you can sleep at night anyway. But maybe the people around the world that actually do care, maybe they will wake up.